The front door clicked shut behind Evelyn Carter as she stepped into the quiet condominium she had called home for more than 3 decades. It was a crisp Tuesday afternoon, and today marked her 65th birthday. She had never been someone who expected lavish surprises or expensive presents, but she had hoped for something simple: a warm hug, a thoughtful card, or even a cheerful happy birthday. Instead, silence welcomed her home. On the kitchen counter rested a folded note written in hurried handwriting. "Out celebrating with Melissa's mom. We'll be back late. There's food in the fridge if you're hungry." It was signed by her son, Ryan. Nothing else. No birthday wishes, no flowers, not even a slice of cake. Evelyn stared at the note for several seconds before placing it back exactly where she'd found it. A strange calm settled over her. It wasn't the kind that brought comfort. It was the calm that arrived after disappointment had become too familiar. She slowly walked through the kitchen. The house barely resembled the warm home she and her late husband, Thomas, had built together. Ever since Ryan and his wife Melissa had moved in 6 months earlier, just until they saved enough for a house, almost everything had changed. Melissa's modern decorations filled every shelf. Family photographs had disappeared from the walls. Evelyn's treasured copper pots had been boxed away in the basement because they didn't match the new look. Even her favorite reading chair had been pushed into a corner to make space for furniture Melissa preferred. Piece by piece, Evelyn had watched her own home become someone else's. She quietly boiled water for tea and searched the pantry. Hidden behind cereal boxes sat the last slice of a marble cake she had bought for herself the week before. She placed it on a small plate. Then she found a single birthday candle tucked inside a kitchen drawer. Lighting it, she whispered softly, "Happy birthday, Evelyn." The tiny flame flickered against the evening light. She smiled sadly before taking a deep breath. Her phone vibrated. An alert from social media appeared on the screen. Melissa had uploaded new photographs. Curious despite herself, Evelyn opened the post. There stood Melissa beside her own mother, both laughing in front of an elegant restaurant. Around the older woman's neck sparkled a stunning diamond necklace, while Ryan proudly poured expensive champagne into crystal glasses. The caption read, "Celebrating the Queen before her birthday. She deserves nothing but the very best." Hundreds of likes poured in beneath the picture. Evelyn looked at the screen without blinking. For a long moment, she felt something tightening inside her chest. Not jealousy, not anger, just clarity. During the past 6 months, she had paid nearly every grocery bill without complaint. She handled the laundry, cooked dinner, cleaned the house. Meanwhile, Melissa constantly criticized her. "You really should update your style, Evelyn," she often said. "Nobody decorates like this anymore." Whenever furniture was rearranged or sentimental belongings disappeared, Melissa always insisted she was simply helping. Ryan rarely objected. He usually shrugged and told his mother not to make small issues into big ones. Slowly, Evelyn had stopped arguing. Now, sitting alone before a tiny birthday candle, she realized something important. People only continue taking advantage of kindness when kindness has no boundaries. She finished her tea, carried the dishes to the sink, and walked into her study. Inside a locked cabinet rested several neatly organized folders containing financial records Thomas had carefully prepared before his passing years earlier. Their investments had performed exceptionally well. Dividend payments arrived regularly. Savings continued to grow. Ryan believed his mother survived on a modest retirement income. He had no idea she was financially secure. Evelyn opened her laptop. She wasn't searching for revenge. She wasn't trying to prove anyone wrong. She simply wanted somewhere she could finally breathe. After browsing several property listings, one caught her attention immediately. A charming cedar cottage overlooking a peaceful lake. Private dock, large garden, towering pine trees surrounded the property, offering complete privacy. The photographs radiated peace. She imagined mornings spent watching sunlight dance across the water instead of listening to constant complaints inside her own home. A quiet smile appeared. "Perhaps this is my birthday gift," she whispered. Without hesitation, Evelyn scheduled a viewing for the very next afternoon. Closing the laptop, she already knew what her heart had decided. The front door opened moments later. Ryan and Melissa entered, laughing together, carrying shopping bags from expensive boutiques. Neither noticed the burned-out birthday candle still sitting on the table. Neither asked how her day had been. Neither remembered what date it was. Evelyn watched silently from the hallway. For the first time in years, disappointment no longer hurt. It simply confirmed what she had finally accepted. Tomorrow wouldn't just be another ordinary day. It would be the first step toward reclaiming a life that had slowly slipped away. And before anyone realized what was happening, everything inside that house was about to change. The following morning, Evelyn woke earlier than usual. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, but instead of bringing warmth, it revealed just how little of the room still reflected her personality. Melissa had replaced the curtains, swapped out the dishes, and even rearranged the pantry to suit her own preferences. Evelyn poured herself a cup of coffee and sat quietly at the table. A few minutes later, Melissa walked into the kitchen, her eyes fixed on her phone. "Morning," she said absent-mindedly. "Just so you know, we're hosting dinner here Saturday night. My mother's birthday celebration is coming up, and the caterer wants to see the space. You might want to spend the evening upstairs, or maybe go out for a while." She spoke as though she owned the condominium. Evelyn calmly stirred her coffee. "No." Melissa looked up, surprised. "I'm sorry?" "I said no." The younger woman frowned. "But we've already made plans." "So have I." Melissa folded her arms. "You've never had a problem before." "That's true," Evelyn replied, "but today is different." Just then, Ryan shuffled into the kitchen, still sleepy. "What's going on?" Melissa answered before Evelyn could. "Your mother says we can't use the living room Saturday," Ryan sighed. "Mom, can't you be flexible? This dinner is important." Evelyn met her son's eyes. "I've spent 6 months being flexible." Ryan looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Instead, Evelyn opened a notebook and slid it across the table. "I've reviewed the household expenses." Melissa glanced at the figures. "The cost of food, electricity, water, internet, and maintenance has increased considerably. Beginning next month, your contribution will increase by $600. Ryan nearly dropped his coffee mug. "$600? We're trying to save for our own place," Melissa protested. Evelyn nodded. "And I'm trying to keep my home running." Melissa's expression hardened. "I thought families helped each other." "They do," Evelyn answered evenly, "but family also respects one another." Without another word, she picked up her handbag and left. The drive to the lakeside community felt strangely peaceful. As the city disappeared behind her, busy streets gave way to rolling hills, tall trees, and sparkling blue water. The realtor greeted her warmly before leading her toward the cottage. The moment Evelyn stepped onto the wooden porch, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years: peace. The house wasn't enormous. It didn't need to be. Large windows overlooked the lake. A stone fireplace stood in the center of the living room. Wildflowers lined the pathway leading to a private dock. Birdsong replaced traffic noise. She walked through every room slowly, imagining mornings with coffee on the porch and evenings watching sunsets reflect across the water. The decision came effortlessly. "I'll take it." The realtor blinked. "You don't want another viewing?" "No. You'll need financing approval." "I'll be paying in full." His eyebrows lifted in surprise. Within the hour, paperwork had begun, and Evelyn transferred the deposit directly from her investment account. For the first time since Thomas passed away, she felt as though she were planning a future instead of simply surviving each day. Driving home, she caught herself smiling. That smile faded the instant she opened the condominium door. Melissa had once again replaced the fresh flowers Evelyn had arranged that morning with decorative branches she preferred. Without saying a word, Evelyn gathered the branches, placed them carefully inside a cardboard box, and left it outside Ryan and Melissa's bedroom door. A silent message. This was still her home. Dinner passed quietly. Ryan attempted awkward conversation while Melissa barely looked up from her phone. Later that evening, Evelyn sat reading in her bedroom when voices drifted through the hallway. Melissa hadn't realized the bedroom door was slightly open. "I think she's becoming forgetful," Melissa whispered. Ryan sounded uncertain. "I don't know. She's acting differently. Maybe the house is getting too much for her. If she can't manage it anymore, we should start talking about taking over." Evelyn closed her book. Every word settled heavily in her heart. They weren't simply ignoring her anymore. They were discussing her future as though she had no voice. She didn't cry. Instead, she quietly opened her laptop. Within minutes, she changed every password connected to the household, the Wi-Fi, streaming services, shared online accounts. The following morning, Melissa stormed into the kitchen. "The internet isn't working." "It is," Evelyn replied. "My devices won't connect." "I changed the password." Melissa stared. "Why would you do that?" "If you want independent access," Evelyn answered calmly, "you're welcome to arrange your own internet service." Ryan arrived moments later. "Mom, this is ridiculous." "No," Evelyn said firmly. "What's ridiculous is believing you'll live here forever while treating me like a guest." Silence filled the room. Ryan finally lowered his eyes. "Is this because we forgot your birthday?" Evelyn looked at him for a long moment. "This isn't about one forgotten day." She paused. "It's about 6 months of forgotten respect." Ryan opened his mouth to apologize. She gently raised a hand. "Don't promise anything today. Show me instead." Leaving them standing speechless in the kitchen, Evelyn walked toward the front door. By tomorrow afternoon, the keys to her new lakeside cottage would be in her hands. Ryan and Melissa still believed they controlled the future. Neither of them realized the future had already begun moving beyond their reach. Friday morning arrived beneath gray skies, but Evelyn felt lighter than she had in years. While Ryan and Melissa left for work, she quietly began preparing for the next chapter of her life. She didn't pack obvious suitcases. Instead, she worked methodically. Her birth certificate, passport, family jewelry, investment papers, and old photo albums were carefully placed inside sturdy plastic storage bins. Every item represented a piece of the life she and Thomas had built together, and she refused to leave any of it behind. One trip at a time, she carried the containers to the garage and locked them safely inside her SUV. She wasn't sneaking away. She was protecting what mattered. Before leaving, Evelyn typed a short notice and placed it on the refrigerator. "House rules for this weekend. No visitors without my permission. No gatherings in the living room. Please respect shared spaces. Thank you." Simple, clear, reasonable. By midday, she was driving toward the lakeside cottage. As soon as she unlocked the front door, the scent of fresh cedar and pine filled the air. The house was quiet. No raised voices, no criticism, no feeling of walking on eggshells. She stepped onto the dock and watched gentle waves ripple across the lake. Ducks drifted lazily through the water while a cool breeze rustled the surrounding trees. For several peaceful minutes, she simply stood there. Then she laughed. Not because anything funny had happened, because she finally felt free. She spent the afternoon shopping in a nearby town. A comfortable mattress, soft blue bedding, an elegant coffee machine, fresh kitchen supplies, flower pots for the porch. Each purchase felt less like spending money and more like investing in happiness. She ignored every phone notification. Today belonged entirely to her. Late that evening, she returned to the city. The moment she opened the condominium door, she knew something was wrong. Voices echoed from the dining room, laughter, music, glasses clinking together. Melissa had ignored every rule. Her parents, relatives, and several friends occupied Evelyn's dining room, as though it were a banquet hall. They were eating from Evelyn's fine china. Her crystal glasses sparkled beneath the lights. Someone had even opened the bottle of vintage wine Thomas had saved years before his passing. Evelyn slowly entered the room. Conversation stopped instantly. Melissa forced a smile. "Oh, you're home. We decided to start the celebration early." Her mother lifted a wine glass. "Come join us." Evelyn didn't respond. She calmly walked to the table, picked up the nearly empty wine bottle, and poured the remaining wine into a nearby potted plant. Gasps filled the room. She placed the empty bottle on the table. "This gathering is over," Melissa's mother frowned. "What kind of behavior is that?" "The behavior of the homeowner." Her voice remained calm. "I asked for no guests." Ryan stood. "Mom, please, don't embarrass us." Evelyn looked directly at him. "I won't repeat myself." She turned toward the visitors. "I'd appreciate everyone leaving within the next 10 minutes. Melissa laughed nervously. "She's joking." Evelyn reached into her purse and removed her phone. "I assure you, I'm not." The room fell silent. One by one, coats were collected. Conversations disappeared. Within minutes, every guest had left. The front door closed. Only Ryan and Melissa remained. Melissa's face burned with anger. "You humiliated me." "No," Evelyn answered quietly. "You humiliated yourself by treating my home as though it belonged to you." Ryan rubbed his forehead. We were just trying to celebrate. You were celebrating someone else. Neither of them had an answer. Evelyn walked to the hallway and removed the spare house key hanging beside the entrance. She slipped it into her pocket. You won't be needing this anymore. Ryan stared. What if we get locked out? You can call a locksmith. That night, Evelyn locked her bedroom door before going to sleep. She could hear whispered arguments outside. Melissa blamed Ryan. Ryan blamed the situation. Neither accepted responsibility. The following morning, Evelyn drove back to the lake. Standing on the dock, she took a photograph of herself smiling beneath the clear blue sky. She uploaded it online with a simple caption. The best birthday gift is discovering peace. Friends immediately flooded the post with congratulations. Then Ryan sent a message. Where are you? Did you buy that place? Why would you spend money like that? We need to think about our future. Evelyn read the text once. Then she deleted it. That afternoon, she rented a storage unit near the lake and began moving additional belongings from the condominium. Every box received a label. Lake House, Charity, Ryan. For the first time in months, everything had a proper place. Late Sunday evening, Melissa approached her bedroom carrying 2 cups of tea. Her smile seemed unusually warm. We've been talking, she began softly. Maybe we've all been stressed. Evelyn accepted neither the tea nor the apology. Melissa continued, that cottage is beautiful. Maybe it could become a family vacation home. We could all enjoy weekends there together. Evelyn looked at her steadily. No, Melissa blinked. It's my home. The words landed like thunder. Ryan stepped into the hallway. What do you mean your home? I'll be moving there permanently. Both of them stood speechless. Then Ryan whispered, almost in disbelief, what happens to this place? Evelyn folded her hands calmly. You'll find out tomorrow. Their expressions shifted from confidence to uncertainty. For the first time since moving into her home, they realized the woman they had underestimated had already made every decision, and none of those decisions depended on their approval. Ryan and Melissa stood frozen in the hallway, still trying to process Evelyn's announcement. You can't be serious, Melissa finally said. You're actually leaving? I've never been more serious, Evelyn replied. She walked into her study and returned with a sealed envelope. This is your official 30-day notice. Ryan looked confused. What notice? You have 30 days to move out. Melissa snatched the envelope from his hands. You can't just throw us out. I can, Evelyn answered calmly. This condominium belongs to me. Ryan unfolded the letter with trembling hands. Mom, where are we supposed to go? I believed you were saving for your own home. Silence. Melissa lowered her eyes. Finally, she spoke. We haven't really saved much. Evelyn waited. Ryan sighed deeply. We spent more than we planned. On what? Neither answered immediately. Melissa finally admitted, the SUV lease, vacations, furniture, gifts for my mother, credit card payments. The truth settled over the room. For 6 months, they had lived rent-free while spending their income on luxury instead of responsibility. Evelyn nodded slowly. I thought as much. Melissa's frustration returned instantly. So you're punishing us? No. I'm ending a situation that should never have continued this long. She walked away before either of them could argue again. Over the following days, the atmosphere inside the condominium changed completely. Melissa complained about everything. Ryan constantly tried to start conversations. Evelyn refused to argue. If voices were raised, she quietly walked away. If accusations were made, she simply continued packing. Professional movers began collecting furniture every few days. The antique dining table, Thomas's handcrafted bookshelf, the leather sofa, the grandfather clock that had stood in the hallway since Ryan was a child. One afternoon, Melissa watched another truck being loaded. You're taking everything. I'm taking what belongs to me. What are we supposed to use? You'll manage. Each room slowly emptied. With every truck that departed, Evelyn felt lighter. She also contacted every utility company, electricity, water, gas, internet. Each account would be transferred or canceled on the day she officially moved. No loose ends, no financial obligations. One evening, she returned from running errands and found Ryan inside her home office. He was searching through filing cabinets. The moment he noticed her, he froze. I was just looking for something. What? I wanted to check the paperwork on the lake house. Evelyn crossed the room and gently removed the folder from his hands. You had no permission to come in here. I was only trying to help. No. She locked the cabinet. You were looking for information that doesn't belong to you. Ryan lowered his head. I'm sorry. This room is now off limits. The next morning, she installed a lock on the office door. Trust, once broken, wasn't easily repaired. A few days later, Evelyn invited her longtime friend Helen over for lunch. The two women packed boxes together while sharing stories and laughter. Helen paused while wrapping dishes in newspaper. You're incredibly brave. I don't feel brave. You've chosen yourself, Evelyn smiled. After years of choosing everyone else. Melissa passed through the hallway several times, clearly irritated by the cheerful conversation. Neither woman acknowledged her. As moving day approached, Evelyn created 2 detailed lists. One listed everything traveling to the lake house. The second listed items Ryan and Melissa could keep. Older kitchen chairs, a guest bed, a small dresser, basic cookware. Everything else either belonged to Evelyn or would be donated to charity. Ryan quietly read the list. I never realized how much of this was yours. Evelyn folded another blanket. Most people don't notice what someone provides until it's gone. The night before the move, she walked slowly through every room. She remembered Ryan taking his first steps across the living room carpet, Christmas mornings with Thomas, birthday parties, family dinners. The home had witnessed decades of love. Now it was time to let those memories remain while she carried only the happiness forward. Early the next morning, the moving company arrived exactly at 8 o'clock. Large trucks lined the street. Furniture disappeared room by room. Boxes filled with books, photographs, artwork, and treasured keepsakes were loaded with remarkable efficiency. Melissa sat silently at the kitchen table. Ryan watched the workers without speaking. Neither attempted to interfere. Hours later, the condominium echoed with emptiness. Without Evelyn's belongings, it felt strangely lifeless. She completed one final inspection before placing a folder on the kitchen counter. Inside were emergency contacts, appliance manuals, trash collection schedules, and the phone number of the property manager. As of today, she said calmly, please contact me only by email. Ryan stepped forward. Mom, can't we sit down and fix this? Evelyn looked at him with kindness. I asked for respect many times. He swallowed hard. I know. You simply chose not to listen. Tears filled his eyes. She gently kissed his forehead. I hope one day you understand why I had to do this. Carrying her final overnight bag, Evelyn walked toward the front door. She didn't look back. Outside, bright sunshine filled the street. She climbed into her SUV, started the engine, and began the drive toward the peaceful lake that would soon become the setting for the happiest chapter of her life. Behind her, Ryan remained standing in the doorway, finally realizing that the woman he had taken for granted was no longer waiting for anyone's permission to live on her own terms. Here's the final installment. The drive to the lake felt unlike any journey Evelyn had ever taken. Every mile placed more distance between the life she had endured and the life she had chosen. When she finally turned onto the winding road leading to her cottage, the afternoon sun shimmered across the calm water, welcoming her home. The movers had already arrived and were carefully carrying the last pieces of furniture inside. Evelyn directed them room by room, taking her time arranging everything exactly as she wanted. Her bedroom overlooked the lake, so she positioned the bed beside the large window. Every morning would begin with the sight of sparkling water instead of city traffic. She placed a framed photograph of Thomas on the bedside table. Smiling gently, she whispered, "We finally made it." That evening, she unpacked only the essentials. Fresh blue linens covered the bed. Her favorite books filled the shelves. Family photographs decorated the mantel above the fireplace. The cottage immediately felt like home because every corner reflected her own choices. Later, she carried a slice of rich chocolate cake onto the dock and watched the sunset paint the sky with shades of orange and purple. For the first time in years, she celebrated without interruption. No criticism, no demands, no feeling of being invisible. only peace. Before going inside, her phone vibrated one last time. It was a message from Melissa's mother. "You should be ashamed of yourself. You've destroyed this family." Evelyn looked at the screen for a moment before deleting the message. She switched off her phone and slipped it into a drawer. Some conversations no longer deserved her attention. Over the following weeks, she settled into a routine she quickly came to love. She planted flowers around the cottage. She learned the names of her friendly neighbors. Every morning, she walked along the lake shore with a cup of coffee in hand. Every evening, she watched birds glide across the quiet water. Life moved at a gentler pace. The condominium in the city was professionally managed and rented to a respectful family, providing a steady income that guaranteed her financial security. She no longer worried about anyone taking advantage of her kindness. Nearly a month after moving, an email arrived from Ryan. There were no excuses, no complaints, only one sentence. "Mom, could we meet alone? I just want to talk." Evelyn thought about it carefully before agreeing. They met at a small cafe halfway between the city and the lake. Ryan looked exhausted. Dark circles surrounded his eyes, and the confidence he once carried had disappeared. After ordering coffee, he spoke quietly. "Melissa and I separated." Evelyn listened without interrupting. "We argued constantly after you left," he admitted. "Without your help paying bills, everything fell apart." He looked down at his hands. "I blamed everyone except myself." A long silence followed. Finally, Ryan met his mother's eyes. "I'm sorry. Not for forgetting your birthday, not for one argument, for everything." Evelyn studied him carefully. His apology sounded different this time. There was no expectation hidden beneath it, no request, only regret. "I loved helping you," she said softly, "but somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing me as your mother and started seeing me as someone who would always fix your problems." Tears filled Ryan's eyes. "I know. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you." She reached across the table and gently squeezed his hand. "I left because I finally started loving myself enough to set boundaries." Ryan nodded slowly. "I understand now." Before leaving, Evelyn offered him one final piece of advice. "Build your own life, Ryan. Don't depend on someone else's sacrifices. You'll respect yourself far more when you've earned everything honestly." Months passed peacefully. Ryan found a modest apartment and accepted a better position with another company. Slowly, he rebuilt his confidence. He visited occasionally, always calling first. Every visit felt comfortable because it was based on mutual respect rather than obligation. A full year later, Evelyn celebrated her 66th birthday. This time, her lakeside terrace overflowed with laughter. Neighbors arrived carrying homemade desserts. Helen brought fresh flowers. The table was covered with grilled fish, warm bread, colorful salads, and a birthday cake decorated with tiny blue flowers. Ryan arrived alone. He carried a carefully wrapped package. Inside was a small painting he had created himself. It showed the cottage reflected in the calm lake beneath a golden sunset. "It isn't perfect," he said shyly. "It doesn't have to be." Evelyn hugged him warmly. "It's beautiful because it came from your heart." As evening settled over the lake, everyone gathered on the dock to watch the stars appear one by one. Raising her glass, Evelyn smiled. "A year ago, I believed I had lost everything that mattered." She paused, looking across the peaceful water. But sometimes life asks us to let go of what is comfortable so we can discover what truly brings us happiness. Everyone lifted their glasses. The quiet applause that followed felt genuine. After her guests left, Evelyn remained on the dock alone. She opened her phone and looked at the photograph she had posted 1 year earlier, the first picture taken beside the lake after buying the cottage. It had marked the beginning of her new life. She took another photograph. The moon reflected across the still water, while a single lantern glowed beside her chair. This time, her caption read, "The greatest gift you can ever give yourself is the courage to choose peace over pleasing everyone else." She smiled, locked her phone, and slipped it into her pocket. The breeze carried the scent of pine trees across the lake. Her heart felt lighter than ever before. She had not simply found a new home. She had rediscovered herself, and that was the happiest ending she could have ever imagined.